If you clicked on this video expecting me to scold you and harsh parent you into turning your life around, this is not the video for you. However, if you came here wanting me to tell you why it's actually a lot easier than you think it is to set New Year's resolutions and just goals in general that you can achieve, then you are in the right place. Let's get on into this video. I will have timestamps listed down in the description for your convenience to jump to any specific parts of the video, but I recommend you stay through all of it because I think every single part of this video will be important because I have thought through it. Get comfy, get cozy. I'm here on my little chair with a soft pillow and my water on the side just in case I get thirsty, and we're gonna get into it. We're gonna start off by talking about why your New Year's resolutions don't hold up. Picture this, okay? It's the day before New Year's and you are excited. You're writing down all of your goals, your resolutions for the new year, from character resolutions to health and fitness resolutions, career resolutions, maybe study resolutions, all those things. And you're so excited. You're jotting everything down in your journal because you are a self-development queen and you want to level up, right? Okay, great. We love that. I love that. We should all be writing our goals down. The new year begins. And then now you're running on high pressure. You're running on adrenaline of all of these goals that you have in your head, and it honestly gets a bit overwhelming. But for the first few days, maybe even weeks, it's actually pretty easy to sustain because the new year is fresh and everything feels new and you feel empowered. And also, to top it off, everybody else around you is also kind of on track with their goals. Like, you'll notice that everybody is in the gym, everybody is trying to be the best versions of themselves at the start of the year. But after the first few weeks, it starts to fade off. You start to be a bit less consistent. Your routines start to feel a little bit heavy and you start to get overwhelmed. And then the next thing that happens after you're unable to stay consistent with your goals and your resolutions is that you end up getting angry at yourself. You ask yourself, why is it I can't stay consistent? Why is it that everybody else around me on social media and just the people in my life, or maybe even people that I observe around me, are able to stay consistent with my goals and I can't? I keep falling off of them. I'm terrible and I just cannot set goals, and then you end up self-deprecating. Really low vibrational, if you ask me, and if you ask literally anybody, okay? But you don't catch yourself in time, and before you know it, you're burnt out and you don't want to continue on with most of your resolutions anymore. Now let's talk a little bit about my personal experience with setting New Year's resolutions. So I would say that when I was about 16, 17, 18, I would just pull my resolutions out of thin air. I would set my New Year's resolutions according to what I thought was ideal. So I would see other people going to the gym. I would see other people lifting heavy weights and I'll be like, this is what I want. I would see other people studying all day and be like, this is what I want. You know, it's not even that I even took the time to think about what are my goals, what are my resolutions. I just copy and pasted, and I was like, if this works for this person, it's gonna work for me. That was the first red flag of my New Year's resolutions. I didn't even think much about whether or not this aligns with my life, my goals, right? And this is something that I also see with a lot of people. They all set these goals and they add things to their Pinterest boards, or maybe even just say, I am going to be really fit. I'm going to do this year. And they don't really think much about how is this going to apply into my life? How am I really going to incorporate this? The second red flag that I used to do, and also that I see other people do, is that they tell people their New Year's resolutions. They'll say, this year I'm going to eat healthy. This year I am going to study X number of hours every single day. They'll say it out loud to everybody. And on one hand, maybe they think, or I used to think, if I say it out loud, these people are going to hold me accountable, right? But on the other hand of that, when you say it out loud, I've come to realize that you put this immense pressure on yourself to keep that goal in the exact way that you said it. That means now you have other people staring at you with these expectations, right? And in my opinion, it really doesn't do good on you, because now you don't really have the leeway to kind of like pivot your goals to match yourself better. Because let me be for real, right? Even after you set a goal, you're gonna change it a little bit by little bit. We're not robots, we're not rigid people. Like, we are fluid and we need adaptation and we need to change according to maybe like the month or the season or how busy we are and stuff like that. You just need to be able to adapt and show up maybe less some days and more some days. It just really depends on your capacity. So saying it out loud like that and kind of proclaiming it doesn't really do good for you, because now you got other people not only imposing on you in terms of like their views and like their expectations, but you feel the pressure within yourself because you're like, oh my God, I told so many people about this. Like, I better, you know what I mean? So I really think that one of the biggest red flags is setting your New Year's resolutions to be so rigid that it comes from a place of little to no compassion and little to no actual understanding of the fact that you are going to need variation in your goals. I'm not saying that that means you have to make your goals more realistic or easier to achieve. I'm saying that you need to be able to adjust your goals on the day to day so that they are achievable within your capacity for that day. Rigid, that you're like, every single day I must hit the gym for an hour and a half. If not, I'm a failure. What is that doing for you? Genuinely, what is that doing for you? That is the surest way to burn out. And trust me, I've been there. I don't know how to explain it, but I used to be someone who literally would crash out if she could not follow her routine to a T. Okay? So I fully understand that. But that really led me to a place of just mental exhaustion and burnout. Right. So now we're moving on to the section about how exactly you are going to reset and realign your resolutions for February, because you don't have to wait for a new year to reset your goals and to start again. If you feel like January wasn't really your month, okay? You can start again anytime, because January is honestly such a high pressure month, right? And like I mentioned earlier in this video, you put so much pressure on yourself and you're just basically running on expectations. You're running on the fact that everybody else is motivated, and you're running on the fact that you have all these big resolutions that you want to achieve, and it's very pressurizing. And you might feel really tired at the end of January because you're like, what do I even want? Like, what are my goals at this point? Like, I don't think I can continue for the rest of the year like this. You feel burnt out. So first of all, don't beat yourself up for not achieving your goals in January. It's okay. Second tip is to consume motivational content online mindfully and intentionally. And I say this because there is so much self-development content out there that is basically start now. If you don't log in, you're gonna fall behind. A lot of it is harsh because that is what gives you that instant push to do better, right? It is the harsh motivation videos and all that that actually push you in the moment to do better, to get out of your bed and like go and do something about your goals or resolutions, right? First of all, okay, my first note on this is that people, when they make these videos and they talk about their lives and how they're accomplishing their own goals, for example, they are only posting their highlights. And I think we know this, right? It's been said so many times that social media is essentially a highlight reel. But I think that we forget that sometimes when we're looking at other people's goals and we're like, why is it I cannot stay on track with my goals, and people online can do that perfectly every day? They're showing up, their day in the live videos look perfect. I used to have that problem of just over consuming this kind of motivational content, this kind of day in the lives of perfect routines and people achieving their goals and being like, oh my God, I cannot achieve my goals. It's so self-deprecating, right? Remind yourself that these people are showing the perfect side of things. Okay, they are not showing you when they cannot get out of bed. There are more creators nowadays who are showing essentially a more realistic and a more wholesome side of setting goals and achieving goals. There's still a lot of unrealistic types of content out there that you need to be mindful of. Okay, just remind yourself that everybody is taking things at a different pace and you do not know what is really going on. And the second note that I have on consuming content online is that you think that it's very effective. You think that harsh motivation is very effective because it scares you and it makes you feel like you need to do something now, right? I would argue that that is unsustainable. It's really unsustainable actually, because that only helps you for like a really short amount of time and then you go back to square one. This brings me on to my third piece of advice, okay? And this is probably the most important piece of advice in this whole video. Discern and ask yourself really clearly when you are trying to set a resolution or a goal. Why are you setting this resolution? What is your reason for wanting this thing? And I also want you to ask yourself, if you were the only person who could watch yourself accomplish these goals, and if there was nobody else to kind of keep you accountable and to kind of validate you when you achieve those goals or along the process of achieving the goals, would you still set this goal? Because if the answer is no, it's very likely that you are setting this goal because you want to appease somebody else, because you want to appear a certain way, because you want to seem like you're doing really well and basically compare yourself to others, right? And if that is the root of why you want to set this goal, that is like 9 times out of 10 the reason why your goal does not hold up. Now I'm going to bring in two terms. Okay, it's called intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is when you set goals that align with your values and you derive satisfaction and enjoyment from fulfilling these goals that align with you. That means that within you is where you find the motivation to do those things, to follow up with those goals. It's because you yourself really love and align with the goals that you set, you know? And because of that, intrinsically motivated actions tend to be so much more long term than extrinsically motivated goals. Extrinsic motivation is focused on external reward and may be useful for short term goals, but is not based or aligned with yourself. And therefore, it's just based on, external kind of validation or rewards and stuff like that. And for that reason, it does not hold up very long. I'm pretty sure you guys are catching what I'm trying to say, right? You need to build your goals based on an intrinsically motivated reason. Okay, I'm not saying that you cannot use extrinsic motivation sometimes. Extrinsic motivation becomes very useful when, say, one day you wake up and you just have so much work, but you really also want to show up for yourself. Maybe study X number of hours, right? You have so much work, but you still want to do your reading or whatever. Like, the point is, then maybe you would do it, and then after that, you would reward yourself. It works for those days where it's really hard to show up because of many other things going on in your life, right? It still keeps you accountable to your goals. But I'm saying that the extrinsic motivation itself cannot be the foundation for you showing up to your goals every single day. Ask yourself, like right now, ask yourself, go through the list of resolutions that you set before 2026 began, right? That huge list, and ask yourself, for every single one, why do I want it? Would I still do it if no one was watching me? If the answer is yes and yes, that is an intrinsically set goal. Let me just bring in a personal example. Say this YouTube platform, right, is something that I really want to do. So I asked myself when I set this goal of, reaching a certain milestone on YouTube, is this intrinsically or extrinsically motivated? It's entirely intrinsically motivated because I want to pursue a passion. And that does not change. That is internal, and that is just like my own goal. That is not because I want to show somebody something. That's not because I want to appear famous. You know what I'm saying? It's something internal that I always will be reminded of, and it's stable. It's stable because it's within me. Hello, my laptop is dying. And now the last point that I want to touch on is that over here on this channel, we are about leveling up sustainably, making sure that when we level up, yes, it may be slower, but we actually maintain the progress that we make because it comes from a very stable foundation. I want to leave you guys with this final takeaway, okay? That self-compassion is the most effective base and foundation that you can build your goals upon, and that you can build your self-development upon. You cannot build goals of self-hate and self-deprecation, and you definitely cannot build your resolutions off of those. We are leaving harsh self-criticism behind in January and in 2025. We're leaving it behind. Okay, we don't need that. Girl, I can definitely tell you that I, for one, was so knee deep in self-criticism, thinking that it would help me become a better person last time. I used to essentially think that I could hate myself into loving myself, and that really just did so much more damage that I now have to undo than good. Relying on quick fixes, relying on external and extrinsic motivation, and also really harsh parenting by yourself or by other people may help you to feel like you're being more dramatic with your goals, but actually leads to more burnout and actually leads to a lot more mental pain. I also recently read this article by Neff KD. It essentially states that higher levels of self-compassion are linked to increased feelings of happiness, optimism, curiosity, and connectedness, as well as decreased anxiety, depression, rumination, and fear of failure. And then it's very interesting, right? Because we think that if we are more compassionate with our goals, if we are more compassionate with ourselves, then we are going to fall off our goals faster. But actually, psychology says the opposite thing, because, quote unquote, While lay people often express the worry that if they are too self compassionate, they will undermine their motivation or become self indulgent, this does not appear to be the case. Self compassion involves the desire for the self's health and well being and is associated with greater personal initiative to make the needed changes in one's life because you want the best for yourself. That is the base of why you even set those goals. You know what I mean? It's not from a base of I hate myself, I need to appear this way. That it's not going to get you very far. Another thing is that because self-compassionate individuals do not berate themselves when they fail, they're more able to admit mistakes, modify unproductive behaviors, and take on new challenges. This February is the month that we build our resolutions on self-compassion. This February is the month where we set goals because we really align with them, and we set resolutions because it is intrinsically motivated. I hope that this video found you. If you feel like January you experienced a lot more fails than you did successes with your resolutions, please, I urge you not to beat yourself up over it. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. So please comment down below and let me know what you thought, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.